Cameroon who is working or trying to work some type of program with, I guess, youth here in Ganawagi to start some kind of planting thing. Anyways, that's what that was, and we already did an opening there with them. So since we're not doing what was scheduled to happen, we'll just go on the opening that was done already, and we'll take it from there, if that's okay with everybody.
Okay.
All right. Well, we're not talking about well, we can still talk about it, but like we said, we're not doing the thing that was regularly scheduled. Maybe somebody else is going to come along and join afterwards. We don't know. There was other people in the other Reconstitution meetings that may show up. So if so, we'll deal with it when it gets here. But until then, I imagine that you are observing things the same way that we're observing things. We can see different things happening, different events happening in the world that are as big as an event may be. Like imagine a car, a tire, going over the ground, over dirt, and as that tire touches the earth right here, as it rolls, like as the tire is rolling like this, the point of contact, where it is contacting, right there, it is breaking up the ground a little bit, and it lifts up like if you could imagine, like dried up mud, like it lifts up the mud there a little bit. So we know that in the world there's big events happening that are causing little cracks in let's say society or in our own lives, that we're able to see tiny things as a result of these very big things that are happening. So I know that each of us are observing, each of us are able to detect on some levels of these big things, but able to detect how it affects us directly in the very tiny level. So here, over the last couple of days, I think it was about 3 or 4 days ago, that it was before Marie-Claude was here, said to Edith that there was something that was happening, some change, a big change that was going on in the world. Anyways, we can look anywhere around the world and see, well, there's all kind of natural disasters, or what appears to be natural. There's all these crazy killings that are going on all around the world. But right after that, anyways, like the next day, this is when there was this mass shooting in California, in Ventura County. And then the day after that, they're hit with these crazy wildfires that spread like crazy. Or imagine a 250,000 people being evacuated out of their homes. You know, so this is big stuff that anybody who's affected by it is now able to see how they are the direct cause of these things. They're able to make the connections to them on the tiny personal levels. Anyways, these changes are happening. This is what has got this interview to take place a few minutes ago. It is very, very revealing as to what's actually in the hearts and the minds of the people. And you know, when you can detect what's in the hearts and minds of the people, then of course you know how the people are going to react to certain things. Like we said before, humans are the easiest thing to predict, easiest thing to manipulate. And part of this, or understanding that, is actually becoming more easy to identify through the document, that thesis that you wrote, Amethyst, that I did not get to read any part of it yet, but Edith has been able to relate to us what she's been reading, and it makes it a hell of a lot easier to when we're thinking about say like a big concept. It makes it a hell of a lot easier when it's already like brought down into a nutshell and can be referenced a lot more easy. So when this happens, of course, it's like a company becoming streamlined, taking out, cutting off the excess fat, you know, cutting out the excess workers, cutting out the excess movements in the company that you don't need to be there. So it makes it more streamlined. It makes it more like to a company, you know, it makes them more competitive. With us, the competitive side is where we are able to utilize these references in conversations or deliberations where somebody else may have the same understanding, but does not yet have that concept, like the whole thing conceptualized. So it's been really helping out a lot. And it's not just that it's on its own, where this is helping out. Of course, it's combined with other things, the other things that are happening in the world. So it seems like what we got to do really soon, maybe hopefully before the end of the calendar year, that we should be at the stage of having a gathering between us where maybe this your thesis can be translated into English, and where we can all just sit in a circle and talk about it. I think that's what has to be on the on the horizon very, very, very soon. We have to go through this. We have to accomplish that, because once we got that, you know, like the mind of society is very splintered. They don't know all the references that you have in your thesis about this and that and early Greece or whatever, you know. They don't, or religion. People don't have these concepts. So if we can have this more easily accessible in those conversations, then it will make it easier to get people to that level of comprehension anyways. So that being said, we have to look at then how we are going to facilitate this. How is this going to happen? How do we go from having just Edith having read this in French? How do we go from there to getting it translated into English, having it the key points marked for discussion? This is what we have to formulate. This is what we have to do. So how can we see this coming together? Anybody got any ideas?
I think Amethyst wants to say something, but
Okay, what I see from my part is that I could start to, in fact, I sort of, but just roughly, point out essential points that make the links to one another, just to make a more compact structure. Just because for the purpose of writing the whole thing, I had to go through some details that are not necessarily good to bring, no, backward. There are some details that are not essential to the comprehension. So I can roughly mark down essential points and try to just get rid of what is not absolutely essential. Because what is essential is to have the, and you said it absolutely clearly, Stuart, is that to have the, so people can make the link in their mind because they have fragmented comprehension. So making all those essential elements together will just bring a more complete picture, and people will say, aha, that's it. See? So on my side, I can start like right away, tomorrow, tonight, I don't know, to mark down those little points. That's easy for me, okay? Then, of course, it's essential that we can come together, and I have to just think about it a little bit, just to get into it and try to have answers for your question. What would be the best way just to put it together? Because right now, I don't know, but maybe it will come in the next minutes. I'm not sure, I don't know, but you know, it will come. That's for sure. And well, one thing that is coming. I am in this idea that this whole thing is necessarily to bring to people because of the solution. And the solution it being matrilinearity. That's the essential thing about it, you know. All this is patriarchy. So then we know there is what is going on here.
Yeah, go ahead, we hear you.
Okay, I lost okay, so I lost Stuart and Edith.
What?
Oh,
We're here.
we're there.
Okay, okay, that you're back. That's fine.
Oh.
Where was? Yeah. So maybe one way would be like, okay. So what I was saying, I'm excited in a way because I see this possibility that I dreamt of for times, you know, and seeing it coming back in reality is very touching for me, really much. Very much. It's deep down connected to my soul. This whole thing. So one thing about it could be, if I calm down, it's better. One thing about it could be that every time there is this distortion about the comprehension of what had happened before, one possibility could be that we could make the link with the exit, which is matrilinearity, which could be a teaching of matrilinearity, a sort of answer to this distortion. It could, that's one possibility. It could go this way throughout the book. Or it could be, sorry, or it could be like an explanation at the beginning saying, well, this is what happened, and the result of it is on birthing, on nature, on so long and so forth. And we know the result all over the planet. So what is the answer for that? And then just enter in another chapter, let's say, or part, and having this whole thing about giving back to mothers their power and bringing back in a real way what women have to say, and not only have to say, but sort of structures could be like what the council and whatever, you know. So many things in my head. So these explanation, and then on the third part, let's say, but that would be maybe probably too big. But on the third part, the concrete, very concrete of it, how can we create throughout the world different concept, and then spread out the teachings of how this can be created very concretely. So that's just ideas that comes up, and we have to think and talk about it, of course, but that just spontaneously what comes.
Okay, I would think while you were talking, I was thinking of how this could happen. I would think that after you do what you said, like you mark down the key points, so you said you're going to do this week, that we take a chapter or one page at a time, depends on how much we can do. I would say we get together like this, maybe once a week or twice a week. It depends on how fast we can go. But if we do it like this, and this way it's recorded, you'll read over one page. We'll all together analyze it. We'll look at whatever in whatever way, you know, and together whatever will come out of it will be recorded in this forum here. We'll have it in this format. We'll be able to have it archived in that sense. It will be, maybe it'll make it easier, like to come back afterwards to the written version to say, oh yeah, okay, this is what we said, this has to be taken out, or this has to be added in, you know, like to really get it to that refined point. So I would suggest that maybe sometime within the next 2 weeks we can start, like we'll set aside one day a week, one night a week, where we'll come together in this format, go over it, and until we go all the way through it. Because I'll say there's something that you got to face, Amethyst, that there's really no place else you can use this. I mean, the way that you wrote it, you can't use that out there in the academic world. There's really only one place that the stuff that you wrote where it can be used, and really that's here. I mean, it has to be within a matrilineal foundation. Otherwise, there's no substantiating. Like if you were going to say, like, oh, here's the problem, what's the solution? Well, matrilineal. There would be no substantiation to that unless it's coming from where there already is matrilineal. So this is the first thing. I think maybe you've already come to terms with this, but what the rest of us have to understand also is that there's no other place that this information can be used. It can only be used here. So once we understand that, then we'll understand the importance of it. Because there is importance, great importance in this work that you've done in identifying how people got into the maze, where this first wrong left turn was made, where the second wrong right turn was made. It's identifying basically the steps that have to be reversed. So it is very important in the work that we've been doing here, very important in the work that we're all doing. You know, like to the what appears to be the unfinished mail declaration. It's not unfinished. You may have been concerned with it, Mark, as to wondering, well, what's going on, you know, but there are other things that have to happen in order for things such as that mail declaration to fully identify. And it seems like that this thesis of yours has been something that has been necessary, something that we've been waiting for without knowing that we've been waiting for it. It's necessary to have that, to have other things take place first. So I would say that once this comes into being, we're going to have a more clear vision of what the men's declaration is going to be. So anyways, yeah, that's what I would suggest that we look at sometime within the next 2 weeks. We try to come up with what would be the best date for all of us in which to begin this.
I just wanted to add a little something. When you were speaking, Amethyst and Stuart too, what I identified maybe an angle to take that, since it's a thesis. I mean, you've created that within the academia, yeah, within the academic world, and we have been for a long time wanting to have this debate between academia and the traditional teaching, the natural teaching. So I think we should package it like that, create a poster, and in that direction to actually start that movement. You would be like initiating that movement of the academic world coming and debating, and then finding out that if you are really genuinely seeking the truth, you will find the truth, even in academia, sort of, you know. I really like this angle. I wanted to share it. And also, I received the document. Edith sent it to me. I might have read at least 20 pages. And it's really because I have so much time, but I really find it super interesting too. And I was wondering if you you could structure it in how many meetings you would need, like how many separations of your thesis to really see, you know, say we have like a 2-3 hours conversation on one chunk of your thesis, and then another chunk and another chunk. Say, is it 5 meetings, or is it 6, or is it 4? And what I think would work really good is that we count on you talking about it, or even Edith, because she read it and there's quite a few things that she flashed on, but to really have based it on oral, you know, like say you would at the beginning of the meeting, you would introduce that chunk of that part of your thesis that you want the people to be discussing. You could have a document also, written document that you send to people, but I think not to count on the fact that everybody could read it ahead, but that it would be something that we could refer to, but that people don't necessarily need to read before. And then we ask on the groups, we call on anyone wanting to participate in this debate. So I don't know what anybody thinks of that.
I think I like the. Oh, okay.
First, I want to say, Stuart, that when you said a few minutes ago, it seems that it was something that we were waiting for, in a sense, on your part. I can say the same thing. You are something. You mean the Longhouse and this matrilinearity teaching is something that I was waiting for also. So it's like, to me, the connection, the real connection between the native world with what has been missing on the planet, and this false development system that has brought the earth where, and the people where it is now. So it's like a big, to me, it's like a big reunion of two important parts, whatever you put it, male and female, nature and mankind and womankind and all that, you know, it's the connection to me, to my comprehension. And the other thing that I want to say, so it's like from my understanding, we cannot go, we can all, the only way we can go is together. You know, there is no other way out, no other way possible, because that's where is the fundamental problem situation, you know. So it's clear as the sun is shining now. It is clear. It's shining here.
The sun is shining in from your left, huh?
Yes.
The sun is shining in from our right. So right now you are literally facing us. So we are facing you just like as if we're facing you in the computer right now.
Uh-huh.
Mark, where's the sun?
The sun is, oh my God. Okay, it's going this way, probably around there, so it's sleeping. The north, is it north?
I don't know where you are.
Neither do I.
Well, which way is it shining into your house right now?
Well, right now I'm looking around south, so this would be north.
But the
And
sun is shining in?
yeah, probably west to north.
Okay, so you're sitting the same way that we are right now. You're sitting with your back to the north.
Well, that's what you told me 2 weeks ago. I just want to say, is it possible for me to see the thesis? Because I didn't know what was going on there. Is there any way to get a copy?
How is that going to happen?
Mark?
Yeah.
Just go on your computer and type Améthyste Bouchard.
Okay. Well, I'm not on my computer, so.
So when you have time for that, you just have to type, and you'll see it's a PDF document, and you'll be able to read it as your own pace.
Okay.
At your own pace.
I'll be reading it. Okay. And as concerning the men's declaration, originally I wanted to boost the women's declaration. I remember, and I said, okay, well, I knew it was going to have a momentum because I preferred to raise more the women's declaration in the beginning. So I just thought it was a little too. If you remember, I said, well, I think Stuart is taking it a little too easy, but I guess I'll do it right away. It took me like I said, I did it like in 1 weekend, the declaration, the original draft. But now that I think of it and time passed, there's things that some things could be changed. So I'm happy that it just stayed the way it stayed, you know. So that's all I have to say. But I'll be reading this thesis. I'll try to read it as much as I can.
I don't know if you saw it, Mark, but it's on the chat.
Yeah. Okay.
That's exactly where we're going to have to make it available. It's going to have to be on this chat. Maybe we're going to have to actually see if we're going to be reading page by page. We're going to have the page there that we're actually reading, that people can see it.
Okay.
And yeah.
It's not necessary. It's going to be too long. That's why what we what we proposed at the beginning is that Amethyst is going to do like a little resume abstract, like condensed, because otherwise it will be really, really long to read page by page. Everybody, it will be a really long process.
No.
So it's better for her to have like already like a PowerPoint, or I don't know, you know, with the main points that we can refer to the thesis, but not read page by page. That would be just.
Why? How long is the thesis?
Almost 200 pages.
Oh, that's nothing. Okay, listen, something like this, we cannot be, we cannot leave any loose ends. So what I was thinking when Amethyst said, well, she'll point out the things, I was thinking that, yeah, we're still going to read, but then where she points out, this is where she'll say, okay, this is in the area for whatever that I wanted to discuss. But to discuss that, we still have to know what is there in its entirety. We're going to have to go through this in its entirety, just like the same way that if you wanted to know parts of the law, we're not going to sit there and just go through parts of the law. You know, you're going to have to sit through the whole law recital. So it's going to have to happen this way, because we're dealing with something that is so big that we can't leave any loose ends out. What if we conclude something and then a year later somebody says, well, what about this? And then we find out that we go back and we look at the thesis, and while it was actually covered or not covered or something, you know, we can't leave those loose ends open. So when we go through this, we're going to have to be, it's going to have to be like as if one of us, like you, Amethyst, are reading a book to us. So we're going to be here. It's like we're a book of the month club. You're reading this book to us. The page should be on the side here for us to see as you're reading it, to know what, in order for us to make these links. And then as we go through it, maybe paragraph by paragraph, if it's necessary to decipher something, then we will do it. And this way, like I said, this forum here will be the actual archive of it. Yeah, I would say then what we got to say, or what we got to do, is have even just this video right now as the introduction as to really what has been going on in the world. Is a war has been waged of the male against the female. And to know what that means, it's not just men oppressing women. When it is a war of the male against the female, it is men warring against all of creation. And so what we are looking at then is really like in court, it is the factum. That's what your thesis is. It is a factum. So it is where all the facts are. This is what we're identifying in our case. And our case, which we are putting forward, is the abomination of male dominance and the war, the illegal war it has waged upon all creation. So this factum is not just something that exists unto itself, it is part of an action. It is part of a lawsuit that we are taking. And the lawsuit isn't in any court. The lawsuit is in the court of the mind of every individual that will have to have judgment on this. So really what we're going into is a battle royale. This is the ultimate battle to decipher what has happened to us. What has happened in this world to get the world to the stage of where 7 billion people are all doing the same corrupt thing. You know, 7 billion people are all waging war, and regardless whatever country they're in, they're waging war on our Mother Earth in different ways that they cannot even detect or identify as them waging war. You know, what about the people in, let's say, I think it's somewhere in the Philippines. I recently seen this thing on Facebook where they were bulldozers pushing over the forest and they were pushing over one tree, and there was an orangutan in that one tree, and the back digger was trying to hit that orangutan, and that orangutan fell out of the tree, and the orangutan had no place left to go. So what's going to happen with that orangutan? Are the humans going to take that orangutan and put it in a zoo? Or are the humans killing that orangutan right then and there? Does that orangutan just then walk off into whatever's left of its habitat and just lay there on the ground and die? We are putting our factum forward in this lawsuit against the corruption of male dominance. We are in a battle royale. This is the ultimate battle in all creation to determine what has happened to us. And again, this factum of yours, which is your thesis, like I said, it can't be used anywhere else. It will just be shunned. The only place it could be used, again, is the side that is taking the stance. And we could say this is the only place where the stance is being taken. Whether or not it's true or not, maybe it's happening somewhere else. If it is, we don't see it. But we have gathered here to do this effort. So right now, I will say, let's look at our calendar. Are we ready within the next 2 weeks? Are we ready, each of us, to commit to this process? Say at least, it may be in the beginning, maybe it's going to be only every 2 weeks or something, but I would say that the first time we do it, from there, we all look at our calendars again and we identify when is the next time we can come together. So I would say we look at sometime in the next 2 weeks, when can we do this?
Mark, you wanted to say something?
No, I spoke before.
Okay. Amethyst, did you want to add something?
Okay.
Amethyst, then you want to say something? T'as-tu dit que tu voulais parler? Did you want to speak, Mark?
No, that's fine.
Okay. Okay. Amethyst, tu voulais-tu redire quelque chose?
Oui. Yes, of course, within the next 2 weeks, no problem with that. While I was listening to you, one thing came to mind, and it was, if we put the energy out, maybe it will just happen. The ideal thing would be to have a person immediately or as soon as possible, and I'm not talking about Edith or Marie-Claude, because I know you don't have time, but a person that could do the translation, the complete translation. I could work with that person in the sense that just to make sure that the sense of it is kept, but that would be very practical to have a person. I don't have nobody in mind. Maybe it will come. Maybe it will come from someone you know. That would be the ideal thing, because then we could immediately pick out the essential and talk about the essential and manage how we can, because if it's in French and then going into English and then, I don't know, that's just an idea. Is it possible?
Do you have a hard copy of that?
Yeah, it was actually my comment, because if we think about when we worked on the Women's Declaration, it was just 2 pages, and it was so heavy, that whole translation, because translating something that is written, there is so many words that we don't really necessarily use when we just speak to one another. So it has to be either a professional translator that can, is specialized in sort of that field, if you want to do that, or the document has to be translated in advance in English. So that's my opinion.
On n'entend pas.
Ce sera pas long, on est en train de parler traduction, qu'est-ce que ça ferait, qu'est-ce que ça sent. Parce que Edith, elle a traduit déjà le livre Words of Peace in Native Land, elle l'a traduit en espagnol. Fait que, on veut faire un comparatif, là. Ce sera pas bien long.
Okay, what we have to do then is present a very short video clip of to what we are going to do, what our intent is, show the actual document, explain that this is the thesis and that we need to have this translated, and basically ask somebody to who can translate. Okay, outside of that, translation or not, we can move forward. We can move forward, and as far as when we are all talking, even though it's in French, we could talk in English about it without the translation. So whether or not we got the translation, sometime in the next 2 weeks, is that acceptable to everybody? Can it be done? Each of us here, yes or no?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's determine then. Right now, there's no point in us having to come back another time. Let's determine when would this be most suitable for us.
The Saturday 24th, we're having the 23rd, the Greeks Worker Association. So we could have it on Saturday, the day after. It will be within the full moon still. It will be around this time
Saturday.
or later, you know.
Okay, right now we're here on Saturday. What about Saturday? What is that, 2 Saturdays from now?
Mm-hmm.
What's the date already?
The 10th.
Already?
Mm-hmm.
What about the 2 Saturdays from now, the 23rd,
24th.
24th, and we look at like around the same time, like around 1 in the afternoon, and we'll only go till like say maximum what is the maximum recording we can do?
With Zoom, there's no limit. With Facebook, that is 4 hours, but we didn't do any Facebook Live.
Then, but we will go Facebook Live on that. So let's go to, we'll say we'll limit ourselves to a maximum of 4 hours. Not that we're going to do it. Maybe we're all going to get tired. Let's leave this thing to where it's a living thing, where each of us will be part of the process of determining to say, okay, it's too long today, we have to bring this to an end. Or else we can go on, you know? Like if we say we're only going to be here from 1 till 3, but if we all still have the energy to go on, let's leave it at a thing like that where we can say, like it's living. We'll say, oh no, we can go an hour later. Or if we need to, we'll say, oh, we have to cut it short today. Is that okay with everybody?
Personally, the only thing I have to keep myself just a little like shy place to go back to is that we have still a lot of work to do with the Great Peace Organization, and you know, depending on that, you know, I don't know how dependent I would have to be on each session, but just so to throw it out there, that, to me, it'd be depending also on the load of work we have to deal with, in because that state, I need to get that off the ground. And it's not taken up by itself, so that's the only thing I want to do.
Okay, so then right now, are you saying that Saturday, the 24th, is not good for you?
Yes, but I'm saying that you don't tell how many weeks that can last. So I'm saying I cannot commit to the whole thing without knowing how long it's going to last and knowing how much work I need to put into the Great Peace Organization. So I just wanted to bring it right now to clarify, because some Saturdays I might not be there.
Okay. Well, no, that ain't gonna work. In order to do this, it's like when a person comes to the law recital. If you want to know the law, we could say, yeah, okay, come to the law. But then if a person says, well, no, I might not be able to be there for all these days, then we'll say to you, then okay, then you're not going to learn the law. Either you're going to do it or we're not going to do it. It's one of the two. We're going to do it or not. So when we look at what has to be done, like what was said last week, we're in the canoe, we're coming up to rough waters. You can say, well, 5 minutes from now, I intended to go to the bathroom. I cannot deal with these rough waters right now. Doesn't matter what you intend to do or how you view it. When we're in those rough waters, you have to paddle, you have to deal with those rough waters when we are there. What we need here is to identify that, like we said, this is of importance. It is really of the utmost importance to have our terminologies up to the minute, and as far as what the rest of the non-native world, the way that they understand things, so that we can talk to them in that instance while these things are happening. Because the pressures on society are happening now, this is where they need to understand it. Not 10 weeks from now, not after their leg is broken. They need to understand it while they're in the event that is either going to break their leg or give them the information to know how not to break their leg. So, like we said, we keep it a living thing. We're there at this time and we say that, yes, okay, we can make it longer, we can. And then from there, like we said, we determine together, when's the next time we're going to be able to all come together.
Okay, so the reason I'm bringing this is not for lack of interest, but I am bound to Angèle's schedule. Angèle works 50 hours per week. The only time we can work on the Great Peace Organization is Saturday, Sunday.
Well,
so
then
I have to check with her first.
Well,
I'm not going to commit right now.
That's when you should have said right off the bat that Saturday the 23rd is not good. Saturdays are not good. Now we know we're looking at not Saturdays or Sundays.
It would be through an evening.
So we're looking at, that's all you had to say. We got to look at an evening, a weekday. Okay, so what is a good evening for everybody? A weekday. Can't hear anybody.
I can make myself available Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. No problem, because to me it's what matters the most. And so for that part, and yeah.
And for my part, anytime after 4 during the weekday is fine. So.
Okay, for us here, we're talking 2 weeks from now, so Friday, Thursday, or Wednesday is not good. We can't do it. We're 2 weeks from now, we're only open Monday or Tuesday.
Monday or Tuesday.
Okay, so which one would be best? Let's see, we got to think. Wednesday, we're doing the Zoom. So Tuesday, would it be too tight, too much for us, Tuesday, Wednesday? We don't have anything next weekend, so if we did it Monday, we'd have a day in between. We'd have a little rest. Would it be okay Monday the 19th for everybody?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, and let's see, we can't get started too late. And I don't think we want to be sitting here eating, having dinner while we're doing this.
No.
So we'd have to have dinner early. 7 is be too late.
6.
It's always tight for us for 7.
6 o'clock. We'd have to eat earlier Monday. Okay, is 6 o'clock good for everybody?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, 6. I'm going to mark that right now on the calendar here. Okay, let's make sure that we're all giving the same reference to this. Now, this may be Amethyst's thesis, but I think we can all see that it's expanding into something more than just being her thesis. So let's think about this, but maybe when we come together on that Monday, that maybe we can have each of us think of a terminology for what this process would be. You know, me right off the top of my head, I'm seeing a battle royale. You know, I'm seeing the battle between, I see the, not between, but I see the battle royale, and as far as the female voice battling back against the male dominance. That's truly what it is. I don't know, something in that line.
Okay.
Okay. What you're saying is not false, but the way I see it is also an answer to many women that had fought since many years, that had felt since many years this situation of male dominance, the effect of the patriarchy, and fighting and fighting and fighting and answering back men, and, you know, trying to find a way out. But now, to me, this is over. There is no more reason to fight back this bullshit, because it's going nowhere, and it's going nowhere since many years. So to me, this get together is, and this Women Council and matrilinearity is an answer, a positive, a constructive, a realistic, and a change of paradigm. It is paradigm. It's very a shift. That's it. A shift out of materialistic science, a shift out of religion's beliefs that just imprison people, a shift out of control minded, where the parole, the words of women can come out and construct something. Construct. Not defending. Be constructive. Be creative. That's just this way that has to be borrowed by women. And women are looking in all kinds of directions. You know, I know that. I know that. And this is why it's so important, this work, and bringing out the matrilinearity as a perspective, constructive position, situation, alternative, answer, whatever word you want to choose, you know? This is this shift. 1,000 years of and it's time now to shift. And people before me and before, you know, said this century, the 21st century will be spiritual or won't be. So that's a part of that too. You know, it's like, okay, I'm coming down.
Don't lose it. Keep it going.
Oh no, I won't lose it. You can be sure of that, because I kept it with myself for all those years. But what is important to understand is that I'm not the only one. I'm not the only one. And it's not only in Quebec or Canada or in the States or in South America or in Central America or in Europe. It's all over the place. And women have been silenced or have been fighting. But who is actually really in a powerful position saying, wow, this is this. We want this. You know, we create this. And all those decisions that don't make sense, that are taken every day, or that are diluted every day, it's time to have women saying no. Not only no, but we propose this, or we install this, or we create this. Because, sorry, Stuart, men are just out of it. You know, just a little thing here. Believe me, it's true. This morning, I was reading something on Facebook, and a man in the Netherlands asked for a legal
Position.
huh?
An opinion or position?
A legal statement, position, yes. A law. He asked for a law of having the right of changing his age.
Oh, yeah. Jeez.
By 20 years.
Yeah.
The guy is 69 and he wants to change his age and become 49 because it creates him problem in the working place and also in his love affair. True. So, you know, where the situation is at this point, you know, being in a illusionary world, you know, where it's just like, and I don't know, you so anyway, and there's the okay, I calm down because I was gonna because okay, this illusion is also happening because of some explanation that I exposed the link, you know, and it's going into it's going into many things that are happening right now with biotechnology, you know, and this is very, very, very preoccupied. It's very, it's a big preoccupation because it's one of the, there is the environment and the other aspect is this thing. It's taking out of the rest of what we have as human sense of ourselves. And it's some part are in the thesis, and it's just like it's there, it's all there, it's passing in front of us, and we're just fighting. No, we must get out and create, and the reason is just that. The reason also to do that is just that people just say, whoa, this is not where I want to go, because now I understand. Now I understand that that's it. I want to have an issue, but some people don't care, we know. But some women especially want this to exist, but they don't know how to take it. And that's why, and I finish on that, and that's why I told you, Stuart and Edith, that I've been waiting myself for 3 years, not knowing what to do with that, because I knew that I couldn't go saying, oh, I have this to say, but then if I don't propose something more, you know, it's like one of thousands and thousands and thousands of books that are just on shelves that are useless, you know. So this is not, I'm not interested into that, because it's all in the spirit, and it's all linked to Sky Woman, you know. So that's it. Thank you for listening. It's helpful, you know. It's helpful to say, and this is I have so much in my heart, you know, because it's, yeah.
There's something that I wanted to comment on how it happened, and what you just presented is that the first time that you came actually to the Longhouse was for the Reconstitution, the last circle that we had of Reconstitution. And some of the things that you say in the thesis is like how male, in bringing down the women to a level of like so low, they are hindering themselves, like they are not respecting the female balance that they should have within them. Like everybody has a female and a male balance within us that we are supposed to like balance, so it works. So with this like mass societal movements of like, if the women are here, as it was in the beginning, what you're saying with the great goddess, and then the male decide, no, that's not the great goddess anymore, and it's in the mythology that they start changing, so they start bringing her down, 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 so much that she's so down. It's like that is a total unbalance of things, like completely disregarding the order of creation. So yes, it's a battle. Yes, it's an answer. And I mean, it's the reconstitution or the recreating or of this balance that is so necessary for the collective of women, for the collective of men, to understand each other in this balance, in this battle that we are all in, to try and attain that. So I just wanted to mention that because, yeah, you say that the men are like completely off the track, and yes, but it's like, you know, not to bring it into a level of gender that is like way they want to bring us like today, you know, but to understand that this is the balance within us that has been like knocked out, and it's to bring that balance back to like reconstitute Sky Woman, this understanding of the order of creation, basically.
Amethyst, do you have what you right now a hard copy of your thesis that we could see, that you could show us right now? Oh, hang on. I cannot do it here. Tell her. Okay, you gotta unmute. We can't hear you. You gotta unmute yourself.
You mean is something like that?
That is your thesis?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Can you hold that up to the screen right now where we could see it? Like, just hold it. Okay, so this is Amethyst Bouchard's thesis that she wrote on basically the state of the world, what is happening, the imbalance between the genders, and which has affected, of course, in a negative way, all of creation. Now, in this thesis, she identifies throughout history, going back thousands of years, all the things that are identified in the non-native history as to where these little corruptions took place. And she identifies, I won't say all of them complete. I mean, it might be hard to find all of them, but to the most complete that we have seen to this date, as to identifying throughout history all the tiny little corruptions that have caused these traumas to society, that has caused the division, that have caused the oppression, male dominant oppression against the women. Now, this thesis addresses all these things, identifies it, but and what we are doing now is to sort it out in a way that it is not a thesis, but an actual legal document, like a factum in a court case, where we will be presenting all the legal arguments against all the corruptions that have taken place, again, throughout history, to empower male dominance, to disempower, to disengage the female from the actual managing the societal direction. So our mothers are no longer in this world, they are no longer directing or managing our people or our society. Now, many women will disagree with this. Many women who have busted through those glass ceilings of, say, the corporate world or in government or in science, many of these women will say no, that these things are not happening. But these particular women are not seeing how they have been isolated into those particular positions, which were first, through male dominance, identified as being solely for male, and isolating the women from that process to get the women to say, well, this is where we want to be. We want to be doing those things. We want to be in those areas where the decisions are being made. But those places are abominations in the first place. So the women who believe in today's world that they're busting through glass ceilings, you're not busting through a glass ceiling. You're actually breaking into jail, whereas everybody else wants to break out of jail. But the women today are being tricked into thinking that they are joining or coming into positions of power. This is not so. The women of this world right now in all these areas are actually, like we said, breaking into jail. Now, who in their right mind would want to break into jail? If you're in jail, you want to get the hell out of there. You want to break out. So with this thesis of Amethyst, that the purpose is, again, is to we will be gathering on Monday, November 19th at 6 o'clock to begin the process of sorting this all out together, where we are going to sit in this forum to go through it page by page, trauma through trauma, and to identify that, yes, either this did happen or it didn't happen, or to either to take out something that doesn't belong in the factum or else to put it in the factum. Basically, what we're going to do is go through the process of streamlining basically Amethyst's thoughts, because in her thesis, it is her thoughts that is at the foundation of bringing together all these facts. Now, all the facts that are in her thesis are not her thoughts, but all those facts have, from what I have seen or haven't seen, have not been formulated in this way as of yet, to be at that stage of being able to identify the trauma, the crime that has been committed upon humanity. So this is a very important step. It may not be for everybody, but we will say that we are inviting people to join us into this process. It is going to be like a round table type of interaction. It is going to be creating itself as we go along. This is basically, we are trailblazing with this. We are going to be on a path that has not been walked on before. This is in the non-native world, when you know that trauma after trauma after trauma has been placed on top of the people and none of them have ever been addressed, you know then that clearly we are blazing a trail back into the past. We are actually going back in time through this process to look at those traumas, to address them to the point of where, through the factum, the presentation of identifying these crimes against humanity, because these are not just traumas, these are crimes that have been committed against our mothers. So, yeah, we'll invite you to join us in this process. This might be the single most important event to take place on this planet. Because as everybody else is dealing with superficial things, they're putting a Band-Aid solution on severed arms. When you're looking at how people are today trying to protect the environment, just as an example. Try to protect the environment from within the laws and structures of any country. Say, for instance, you're here in so-called Canada. Try to prevent or try to protect the environment from within the laws and structures of the Canadian government. How far are you going to get? You ain't going to get anywhere, because all those laws and structures of the so-called Canadian government are there to guarantee the destruction of the environment. So we invite people to this, again, we'll say the single most important process that may be taking place on the planet in the non-native world for over the last couple of thousand years. So Monday, November 19th at 6 o'clock, we will be gathering here again at this in this forum. Anybody wants to join us, you will be able to find, what is it? It's the Zoom code or whatever. What would we be? We're going to create a Zoom code. It will be posted on the Facebook page, on my Facebook page. It'll be posted on everyone who's participating right now on their Facebook pages. So each of us, let's announce this to whoever, our friends. Maybe we're going to take a small excerpt out of this and put it there. So right now, is everybody happy with this, where we're at this stage? Is there anything further that anybody wants to say on this?
Okay.
Would it be, go ahead.
Étais-tu là avant moi, Marie-Claude? No? Okay. First of all, thank you very much for saying that. Second of all, I have a little worry. Maybe it's because of my nature or my past experiences, I don't know. Or maybe it's real, but try to explain to me what is going on. I'm a little, how can I say it? Afraid is not a proper word, but I'm just worried about the fact that having those, all the people, it's going to be long, very long, so long. Maybe it doesn't make sense what I'm saying. It's just I'm a little confused inside. At the meantime, I think it's a fantastic opportunity. And at the meantime, yeah, I just have to wait and see and just go with it. Yeah, sorry. I'm just expressing, you know, all what is going on inside. But yeah,
Okay, just to maybe alleviate a little bit of your concerns here. Let's understand that right now, we are the working group. We're the ones working together here. Yeah. So when we go from this stage to the next, where like what you're concerned about, other people coming in, other people may come in, like other people may read your thesis, you know, like you wrote it to be read. Somebody's going to read it. Doesn't mean they're at the level of working group, where on the level of when you were writing it, you in your own mind were the working group. Now somebody may come along and have read one paragraph of it and said, hey, Amethyst, this is ridiculous, you know, and it isn't going to change what's going on in your working group. Your working group is the one deciphering it, doing it. So the working group here are the ones that are going to be taking the whatever. If somebody else even joins us, which maybe not, if somebody else even comes and joins us, you know, they'll have their voice, they'll have their say. It doesn't necessarily mean that that is going to influence, because as we know, there's a lot of people in this world who just waste their breath, you know, just want to, they'll repeat something that somebody else said, and they're thinking that they said it in a different way. So they want their voice heard. What about what I said? You know, we're here as the working group to be able to cut through all of that nonsense and to like we said, if somebody says something and offers something that is actually viable, that is conducive to it, yeah, then it will be either put in or taken out.
Okay.
But the logic process is going to be the thing that is going to govern over this. Now, it is your thesis, and it may seem like, hey, we're saying, well, this process is what's going to govern over it, almost seeming like to take away your power. But in creation, we have to, when we are going back to reconstitution phase, just like me, I know that anything that I say in a longhouse, it's not me that's representing it. It may be flowing through me, but it is something that is there floating around. And as long as one of the people catch it, hey, wait, I detect this. This is in the air. Doesn't mean that that's what I am representing, same as the way that anybody else who's coming in. It doesn't mean that they will be actually representing these things. We will be like a scientific experiment, where I'll refer to the scientific experiment which we are engaged in right now on some level of some type of opposition, as to the Dune experiment that is taking place in CERN, Switzerland. Whereas in the Dune experiment, the deep underground neutrino experiment is where they got all these sensors in a room to detect what is happening somewhere in there. This is all that we will be. The people involved in this process, that's all we will be, is we are there to detect what is floating around. Because in this process, it's part of the reconstitution process, and to reconstitute means truly on the big scale, but also on the small scale. Like, think of our DNA. To reconstitute, it is really truly on the level of DNA. It is what is floating through the air. And that's where these things will be detected. So that's quite simply where the role that each of us will play. It's not something that is that you are gonna lose control of, no matter what. It is always gonna be your thesis. And let's say, for instance, the same way that Marie-Claude initiated a process that developed into the Women's Declaration. A lot of women worked on a declaration, a lot of men worked on the Women's Declaration. But it's, no matter what, at the end of the day, it's identified as being initiated by Marie-Claude. So these things are through the natural process. These are recognized. These are maintained and are again recognized for where their origins are from, and this and that. Anyway, so if there's anything else anybody's got to say on this issue.
Just a quick detail, when we're going to be sharing the invitation on the groups on Stuart's page, I'm going to put your email, Amethyst. You're going to be the one answering questions regarding this process. They will be, maybe asking you the details, additional details, but that email will be yours. You're okay with that?
Correction on that. For the details of the process, they would have to actually contact us, because they could ask Amethyst anything about her thesis, anything about it. But as far as this process, they would actually have to ask us how this process is gonna, like, what anybody's participation would be and stuff like that.
So let's eat it better.
Facebook. If you're posting it on Facebook, it can go through you. We can talk.
It's already there, anyways. People are already subjected to this process. When people are dealing with stuff that we're doing, and they're looking at it on Facebook, or if it's in emails, I'm pretty sure people know by now and have experienced by now that, well, it happens according to a certain structure that doesn't exist elsewhere. So anyways, for that, people want direction or to know how the process will work, you have to contact the Longhouse. Anything else? Amethyst.
Yes, I totally agree with that. And to me, it's a first concrete, do you understand me? Yes? It's a first concrete balance of this life protector that I see men, you know, because I know very well that this will challenge many things. And my preoccupation is not to lose my energy in what's left inside of me of wounded parts, you know, that could be hurt uselessly, that could be hurt and just for no use in the process. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's not that I won't stand for what I think and feel and have inside of me. That's not the problem. I can do that. But the problem is to receive, you know, sometimes all kinds of stuff. I have to get a little, I feel that I have to be a little protected on that, if I may say so, because it's something that yes, that is so, it's like a birthing process, you know. When a baby is born, we all know that we have to protect him. And it's not that I feel like a baby, but I still feel that as a woman, I have part inside of me that are that needs to be protected. Really, that's the best way I can say it. So I'm very grateful to be able to have this protection.
Okay. Is there anything else anybody's got on this? Anything anybody wants to say on this? Okay, so we're all going to be here back in this forum on Monday, November 19th, 6 p.m. 6 o'clock in the evening. Okay. I would say, I don't know, I would say that's we can bring this to an end unless there's anything that anybody else wants to discuss. If not, we'll bring it to an end if that's okay with everybody. Okay, all right. Like we said, in this, what is recorded here, we did not see an opening because this was a continuation of another video interview that we had done this morning. So it was all within the same opening. So just for anybody's information, if you happen to see this video, you didn't see an opening, but you are going to see the closing, and it's because of what I just described. So we'll close it. You going to close it?
Editutix está Socorro Castellán, Haxota Yondajisque, Francisca Rueda, Zapotecnia Hunsage, Mexica, Wanerista, and at a Huni Yankin Estadista, and Taharage Ganosesne, that the Yangahaga Garnawagan, and Wiz New Hunsagan, and Warage Gawanoge, Agent Warado Garunwa, Haria Gesu, Dano Yankisota, Santanaca Caracua, and the Yankinista, Yahunsage, and Aguagos Cat Negunwe, Agent Warado Tarunuago, Danosa Whiskera, Ayunki Atagan Hadandao, and Hetzer. Tayandawana. Tintinorado, Sinik Tanya Taragero, Aguago Ununqua Sua, with a Sua, Sinua Sua, Gatsasua, Sidanagua, Danoagua Contrillo. Honestel the Heradana Osera, Danoagua Dunheads, Huarta, Ganihundesa, Canawatarana, Johuntia, Chineke Garaqua, Danayankisator, Rediwaras. Asan nikatara ke nengayanga haga dan wagwani honsage ya tiñasto junatayuni dan diskarewage ayun ki ataken hatanda waran hetsera ne awe kawatsiri dan awe katsan hayane unwe tejin warado ya consiste dan de ganawita dan wago diane dan rodiane de yohahio dan gorillo dan gayandawana gayanara saragoa dan otegeni de yohade ayun ki ataken hadanda waran hetsera negasastan sera negununwe dan gayandawana gasastan sera rununwe ayun ki ataken hadanda waran hetsera neskana gasastan sera dan lariba warishun sera dan nogatena yodaksa eresawet 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 Loganina yotani suwani gura.
Yay! Okay, we'll see you soon. Ana.